Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the press conference. We're going to start with Sky Sports and Keith Downey.
Morning, Steve.
Good morning.
Nice to see you. Firstly, can we just get your update on the raft of injuries that you had the other night, and if any of them are back for this weekend?
Well, we'll know a little bit more this afternoon when we train, Keith. But I hope Almiron, St Maxim, and the skipper will be okay. We'll see how they are after training, so that'll give us a hand. Unfortunately, the other night I'm not trying to make excuses. We were badly beaten, but we had too many of our big players not available, and it turned into one of them awful nights for us.
Yeah, I mean, do you fear when you play a team like Man City and you're missing so many players that kind of thing could happen?
Well, I mean, listen, it's the manner of it, and I still thought we could have done better than what we did. That's for sure. So the mark of a good team and the honesty of your team is how you respond to a beating, and I'm sure we will be better. We've had a couple of awful results this season, and we've responded in the right way. And if we take Man City out of the equation, since we've been back, we've done okay. So it's important that we try and finish it off. I do believe when you look at the statistics, the home, without any crowd, you look at the big teams and the substitutions that they can make, does make them better. And when you look at the results that both Manchester clubs have had, in particular, the big, huge clubs, then they're blowing everybody away. So we have to respond, though, and let's hope we can do that.
I mean, I think everyone will agree it's been a decent season, given what all went on last summer. But is it frustrated you, Steve, that you've had at times this season, and you just alluded to it a moment ago, you've had a few performances like that in you against a top team?
But look, Burnley got beat there the other day, 5. They beat the champions 4. So it's how you respond to it in the manner of it. And look, in 38 games, I'm sure that most teams, unless you're really one of them ones at the top, have had them awful days. And like always, you never want to play badly on the biggest stage, that's for sure. And how you do it in football is the chance to go again. And we've got it round the corner and be more like ourselves. So I expect and demand a better performance tomorrow, and I'm confident the players will do that.
Yeah, I suppose it's pretty amazing how everyone was on cloud 9 after the Bournemouth game last week, and then you have a defeat like that, and it's the complete other end of the scale. I suppose, is that something you have to get used to as Newcastle manager?
That's something you have to live with in the Premier League. I look at Watford and Bournemouth yesterday, and been studying Watford because obviously we play them, and look at the talented players they've got and the good players they've got, and you scratch your head to see, why they're in the situation they are. But that is the Premier League. That's how tough it is. That's how difficult it is. And when you're a club like ours and you're missing 6 or 7 of your first team players, then it's going to be a struggle. Now, that's no excuse to say that we couldn't have put up more than what we did the other night. But as I said, we've got to erase it, forget about it, and take Man City out of the equation. Since lockdown, we've won 2, drawn 2, so we haven't done too badly.
Did that performance and the manner of it kind of underline how important St Maximin and Almiron are to you in terms of being able to get you up the pitch?
Look, if you're a club like ours, in the bottom half of the Premier League, then whoever you are, if you take out your 2, 3, 4 of your better players, then of course it's going to be a struggle. Now, I don't want to make that as an excuse, because I still thought we could have done more on the night. It was too easy for Manchester City, unfortunately. But it was difficult. We got off to an awful start. We're 2-0 down after 20 minutes, and it becomes a very, very difficult evening for you. And how many times have we seen it now that these big teams since lockdown, with the advantage of, these seem to have an advantage behind closed doors, and of course the 5 subs to bring on, strengthens them occasionally. So it's been very difficult. And you look at the games in particular, the big clubs are blowing the other ones away at the minute. So something we all have to try and deal with.
When you say there that you think they've probably got the advantage, like the big teams behind closed doors, what do you mean by that?
Well, it's behind closed doors, so you need the advantage of your crowd, for example. and we're very fortunate. We've got a huge following, and that's why coming to St James's Park is always difficult for any team. I just think it takes away the difficulty. There's no real advantage of playing at home anymore. And statistics will tell you that one as well. So, it's but as I've said many times, Keith, it's the football. At least we're back up and running, and what I think we're getting used to it a little bit. So it's better than. But if we ever need supporters, and realise how we miss them and what the game's all about, then I think we've just witnessed that over the last few weeks.
Thank you, Steve. Cheers.
Thank you.
Andy Sixsmith, PLP.
Morning, Steve.
Morning.
Just one quick one on Manchester City. How difficult do you think it's going to be to pick the players up from that with such a short turnaround time? Or is it one of those where you talk about the kind of the gulf in class there that you don't really need to say much to them?
I don't think I have to say much to them. Their own personal pride will be hurt. And the one thing they are here is genuine. And yes, of course, we've had 2 or 3 bad days. And one of them was against Man City the other night. However, it's how you respond to it. And I expect them to respond in the right way. You take Man City out of the equation since we've been back in the last month or so. We've done okay. We've won a couple and drawn a couple. So Man City has been a bridge too far. They were too good for us. And sometimes you hold your hands up and say, they're too good for us. Now, I still think we could have done a bit more. But sometimes you have to say, we were just beaten by a far superior team on the night.
Is that why the word perspective comes into play here, especially not just looking at the last 2 months, but the whole
my vocabulary. But yeah, let's take it for what it is. Man U are blowing everybody away, and Man City are too. They beat the champions 4, they beat Burnley 5, they beat us 5. It's you catch them. There's as good a team as they are in Europe, and we without 4 or 5 or 6 becomes a very difficult night. Now, as I keep saying, I'm not one for excuses. We were beaten, and we were beaten badly by a far superior team on the night.
We mentioned before about bouncing back. This team does have a tendency to bounce back from these big defeats this season. After such a long and, frankly, odd season, what makes you confident that they can do that again this weekend as we come towards the end of this strange campaign?
Well, look, they've been terrific since I've walked through the door, and everybody writes them off. And there's a nucleus. I've said, unfortunately, we were missing a lot of that the other night. But there's a nucleus who demand of each other, and we will be better, that's for sure. And let's try and finish the season off with 4 games to play, and see where that takes us. It has been difficult. It's been a long, tough gig for everybody. But we're towards the end. Let's finish it off with that little bit of pride that the team has had all year.
Just talking Watford, on a bit of a high after that huge result against Norwich the other night that's stood them in good stead. Is it one of those where you want to go on the attack immediately should the likes of Almiron, Alan Saint-Maximin be back to nullify them, or those injuries dictate again?
I think why we've changed is to try and get the best out of our players in the forward areas, and you have to score a goal to win a match. So I'm sure we'll benefit if they're right, the 2 of them. And then again, I've studied Watford since we're now taking them on and watched them twice and think they've got some good players. How are they in the situation they're in? And that's how difficult the Premier League is. Nigel's done a wonderful job of turning them round, and they're big and strong and powerful. And make no mistake, they'll be looking at this as their cup final. They'll be looking at us and thinking, what a chance we've got today. So we have to be guarded against that and see what we can do.
Yeah, just finally from me, given the quality of the players that you've alluded to, and of course Nigel's record as well, in terms of saving teams in the Premier League, it is a huge surprise to see them battling relegation the way that they are, isn't it?
Well, when you look at all the bottom teams, would you thought after spending all that money, 140 million, was it, Aston Villa would be in and around it? And then you think Watford, who have been an established Premier League team for a while, and West Ham, when you look at what they've got, it's really, really difficult, unforgiving league, and that's why it's the biggest and best league in the world. Every team's got good players, So it's a tough act, and it's relentless. It seems to be a bit more relentless this year. We're still, we're nearly mid-July and still going. So it's been a long, long time. So it's important that we finish off.
Thanks, Steve. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Dawn Thewlis, BBC Look North.
Hi, Steve.
Good morning.
Good morning. We all know what Nigel Pearson is like. He will have his side fired up for this one, won't he?
Oh, without question, they'll be looking at this one thinking after the result of the week, with a wonderful goal from Danny, that they'll be counting on it in their cup final, if you like. And when you look at what they've got on paper and you look at the players they've got, then you wonder why it's been a struggle. But as I've just said, that's the Premier League. That's how they are. That's how hard it is. And Nigel's done a wonderful job and turned them round. And it will be tough tomorrow, that's for sure. So we better get ready for it.
I know managers often say, they don't like to use the fact that they didn't have some of their key players as an excuse, but it is a reason, isn't it, that the team can't play as it would like to.
Yeah, of course. And against Manchester City, look, there were. You just have to hold your hands up occasionally and say they were too good for us, and they were far better than us. Now, I think what people would like to see more is we make it more difficult for them. But as we've witnessed now in the lockdown in particular, then it's been very difficult. These top teams now, with the additional 5 subs, and the 2 Manchester clubs are blowing everybody away. So it's difficult, but I take your point that sometimes you have to hold your hands up and say, look, let's put it in perspective. We're beaten by a far, far superior team.
And also, I know the players are professionals and everything, but it's also human nature that when you are safe and you know that you're safe, there's just something inside that maybe doesn't make you run quite as fast or tackle quite as hard, or it's just, that's human, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I thought inside of me, we were safe before the lockdown. I thought we had a wonderful victory at Southampton, which practically took us to a position where I didn't think teams would get to 35 points. Since the restart, if you take Man City out of the equation, we've done fantastically well. We've played very well against Sheffield, very well against Bournemouth. So we've done okay. We've took 8 points from the 4-5 games. So we have to finish off, and we make sure that we be professional and see where that takes us, because it's a remarkable achievement from the players to be practically safe with 5-6 games to go. So I know it's human instinct that you sit in your laurels, but it's my job to make sure that we go and try and finish off the season and see where that takes us.
Just finally, you had a couple of academy lads with you the other night. Is that sort of a plan now to try and integrate them a little bit more for the last few games of the season?
No, I mean, look, we're always looking to try and bring through anybody from the academy if they're good enough. I think, if I'm being honest, the other day it was the total amount of injuries. If we hadn't had the 2 academy lads on the bench, then we wouldn't have fulfilled the substitutes bench. So, but they've trained with us and they've done very well. So in lockdown, they'll have enjoyed the last few weeks, and I'm sure they'll enjoyed being part of the squad, going down to one of the biggest and best clubs in the world at them, in Man City, the weekend. So they're great for their education and the next step on the ladder.
Thanks, broadcasters. If you could leave the call now, please. We'll be back with writtens in just a moment, and we'll be using the raise hand function. If you have a question, please use that now. Thank you.